Hello and welcome back to another information video. Today we're going to be going over, is the Groningen worth getting in the 2025 meta of World of Warships? To start off, a little bit of history about the Groningen. So the Groningen is a tier 9 Dutch destroyer that you can get for coal or doubloons. You can get it for coal for 228,000 coal or for 19,300 doubloons. And of course, you can use the 25% coupon in the armory for it. And you can get it for 14,475 doubloons if you have the coupon, or 171,100 coal. Now, do I think the Groningen is worth getting? Yes. I still think in the 2025 meta of World of Warships, it's still good to get, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great farmer. It's good in all modes, and I'm going to explain why in today's video. So, a little bit of a backstory on the Groningen. So the Groningen is a copy of the original destroyer, which is called the Friesland. The Friesland was the pan-European destroyer originally, and whenever they started adding Dutch ships to the game, they wanted to have another premium ship for the Dutch, kind of like a crew trainer for the destroyers for the Dutch, and well, they just made a clone of the Friesland, and they put it over to the Groningen. So the Groningen is a DPM machine with 420 millimeter guns that have a 1.6 second reload when you build into it, which is absolutely insane. This ship is about medium small size for a destroyer. It has 21,800 HP when you build into it and have the heal flag. Now, that's about average for tier 9 destroyers. Now, unfortunately, you don't get a heal on this ship, which is a real pain. But what you do get does make up for it. You do get a 5-kilometer hydroacoustic search for ships. And it can also spot torpedoes at 3.5 kilometers when this hydra is up. And it also gets a over 2-minute long lasting smoke. You heard me right, which lasts for about 2 minutes. So it's a very long time you're able to farm inside of these smokes with the Groningen. So this ship is a very strong farmer slash jack of all trade kind of destroyer, where you can build into it to be more of like a destroyer hunter, or you can build more of just like a farmer to farm down battleships or cruisers or other destroyers. So usually when you're playing this ship, you're playing it around medium to longer ranges. You can play it around caps to try to catch a destroyer early on if you do build for that. And I'll be showing my build at the end of the video. But normally how you play this ship is you're kind of letting your own teammates, or you're letting the other destroyer in your team do the spotting, and then you start farming down battleships and cruisers, getting fires on them to get that damage going on. And that's normally how you play the Groningen. You play it more as a farmer. And normally, and as a tier 9 premium ship, you get the enhanced credit earnings and the reduced service cost on this ship, which means you will be earning a lot of credits in this ship. Normally, if you do about, let's say, if you're running blue economic bonuses, normally you'll earn about over $1 million or 1.2 million per match, as long as you do about 50 to 75,000 damage. About probably around there, or like 100,000 ish. If you do around there, they'll guarantee you that amount. Also, since a lot of the time you're going to be shooting other destroyers, you're going to get way higher base XP anyway, so you'll earn a lot more credits in that regard, because everybody needs a credit farmer, right? You need a good credit farming machine, like a good destroyer, cruiser, battleship, and the best tier to get a credit farmer is tier 9. And to me, the Groningen is one of the best credit farmers in the game, and I'm going to explain why in this video. So we talked about the guns, we talked about the fact that it has a great smoke and a 5-kilometer hydra. What else makes this ship great? Well, it also has DFAA, and it actually has really strong anti-air that go out to 6 kilometers. This anti-air, it does a continuous damage of 284 for the medium range anti-air, and for long it is 147, and it has 6 flak bursts. When you combine that with the DFAA, it really does pack a punch against enemy aircraft carriers. So if you're dealing with a tier 8 aircraft carrier, yeah, good luck that thing trying to hit you. But for tier 10s, they may still be able to get a strike off, but they're definitely going to be losing a lot of planes when they try to come after you, which is amazing. It's really nice to see when a destroyer finally gets good anti-air. And the reason why the anti-air is so good is because of the main batteries. They serve as the main battery and also as anti-air as well. So that's the main reason why the anti-air is so good on this ship. So the two downsides of this ship is the fact it has a 6.4 kilometer concealment. It isn't the best, but it's also not the worst. Normally, if you are spotted as you're pushing in, you can kind of just push into whatever is spotting you and use that 5 kilometer hydro to perma-spot them if they try to smoke up, or if they're running away behind an island, you can still spot them with the hydro through that. So it's really nice in that regard. But normally when you're pushing into an enemy destroyer, make sure they don't have any support around, because if there is support, yeah, you're gonna be suffering. That's like one of the tips I'll be going over later, is how to play the Groningen. I'll give you guys some play style tips to make sure you maximize your credit earnings and make sure you don't be overly aggressive and die. So I'll give you guys some tips as you guys are watching this replay as well. For the maneuverability, this ship has a top speed of 37.8 knots, and that is with the signal flag. If you take the signal flag off, its top speed is 36 knots, which isn't the fastest for a destroyer, unfortunately. So you do have to be careful. So pretty much when you're starting to farm ships inside of smoke and you see an enemy pushing towards you, a lot of the time, if you don't have support behind you to stop the push, if you see an enemy getting about within 8 kilometers, you are wanting to bail at that point from your smoke. Again, they're just going to keep on going because they know Groningen doesn't have torpedoes. That is another downside of this ship. You have no torps. The only torpedo you have is yourself, which you definitely don't want to do a lot of the time. It's not worth it. So its best thing to do is just to run away and use whatever speed you have to get away from the enemy. And then once you get about 10 or 11 kilometers away from the enemy, then you can pop your smoke again and start farming. Now, if the target is extremely low and they don't have hydro or radar, then you can use your smoke and hydro combo to be in the smoke and spot them with the hydro. So if someone's just Wing at you, they're low health, you know you're going to be able to farm them out. And make sure when you are aiming with the guns, you're aiming for the superstructure, because these guns only have 20 millimeter of a pen, which isn't gonna pin any bows or decks of almost any ship unless it's a destroyer or a light cruiser is the only time when you want to do that. And normally you're going to be aiming exclusively at the superstructures, unless you're trying to get fires throughout the ship overall, like everywhere else, like the bow, the aft, anywhere else you're trying to get fires. But normally you're going to be aiming at the superstructure to do damage. As they're Wing in at you, you can aim at the superstructures that like behind their guns to be able to do damage to them and kill them that way, or get fires there. And if you already have fires everywhere else, you can then aim at the bow and try to get a fire at the bow, and then aim everywhere else. And then once they're dead, you just move on and shoot somebody else. Now, I have been talking a lot about the HE on this ship. Let's talk about the AP. So the AP, it's not the best. Normally, you're only going to use it if someone's broadside to you. You're not going to be able to Citadel anything unless it's like an extremely light cruiser within like 5 kilometers away and they're showing complete broadside. Then yes, you could. But normally, if you want to use the AP, they're going to be about 8 kilometers, 9 kilometers away from you, and they're giving you broadside. So say a battleship is starting to turn broadside to you. You want to then switch, and if they have fires on them already, right? You want to then switch over to AP and start hitting that superstructure area in the upper deck to try to get the pen damage there for your AP to do extra damage. Now, if they are closer to you and they're showing broadside, you could also aim at the bow and after the ship where it's not saturated, so you do more pen damage. Because as ships get saturated in those saturated areas, you don't do as much damage. So it's better to aim at non-saturated areas so that you're able to do more damage. And the saturated areas are the blackened parts of the ship, as you can see throughout the video, or if you play normally in WoWs. When a ship is damaged a lot in a certain area, it starts to get blackened and darkened. And when it is saturated all the way, you're going to do way less damage. So it's better for you to try to aim at a different part of the ship that isn't saturated so that you do more damage to the ship. There's a little tip there with the HE and AP on this ship. So how do I play the Groningen? So I personally play this ship as a more of a destroyer hunter, right? Where I'm not particularly trying to farm purely with this ship. I'm trying to negate or stop or destroy the enemy destroyer early game, so I'm able to then move up and provide spotting. And then if my enemy team, if my team is then spotting, I can then start farming the target that they are spotting. And and of course, most of you guys that are here that are at this point are trying to wonder, what is the best way to farm with this ship? What is the best way to earn credits or commander XP or free XP? I'm going to give you guys the best tips on that, okay? So if you are just trying to earn credits, you're trying to grind this ship, you're just trying to grind, what's the best way to do it? Well, the best way to do it is legit in randoms. Randoms, you can take into operations, but operations can be kind of rough for destroyers. So normally I would say if you're trying to farm credits with a destroyer, take it into randoms or take it into asymmetrical battles if that's around, or take it into ranked. You can also take it into ranked as well. Groningen does very well in rank as a ranked ship. Only problem is you're gonna probably deal with black or the tier, like another tier 9 destroyer that has radar, so you do have to deal with that. But this ship is a great cap contesting ship with that smoke and hydro combo, and of course getting caps gets you base XP, getting base XP gets you credits. So higher up base XP you get, the more credits you're going to be earning, so on and so forth. Another thing is that doing damage to destroyers will earn you more credits, and I'm going to explain why. So if you think about it this way, in WoWs, the base XP earnings for damage is based off of the percentage of health you do to a target. So say you do 1,000 damage to a destroyer that has a total of 20,000 health, right? When you do that 1,000 damage to a destroyer, it does a certain amount of percentage, right? But then imagine you do 1,000 damage to a battleship, and that battleship has 100,000 health. So you can think of it this way: the percentage of damage you're doing to a destroyer for 1,000 is worth way more than 1,000 damage that you're doing for a battleship, right? So if you're trying to earn the same XP as you do with a destroyer, you have to do way more damage to a battleship to earn the same amount of credits or base XP. And if you guys have any questions on any of this, definitely leave them down in the comments down below. I'm just trying to explain the best ways to farm or earn credits with this particular ship. So normally, how you want to play this ship at the beginning, you're trying to do initial spots, testing the waters, seeing how many support ships are nearby, the beginning, like how many support team you have near you, and then what's on the enemy team, how many radars they have, how many hydro ships do they have, what kind of destroyers are you fighting? Are you fighting gunboat destroyers, torpedo boat destroyers? What are you trying to do that way? If you see that you're fighting more of torpedo boat destroyers, you can get into the cap earlier than you can if it's like a gunboat. The gunboat destroyer, you gotta be a little bit more careful. But normally you can kind of go in the cap and kind of claim the cap with a if you're fighting a torpedo boat, because you can use that hydro and smoke to hide in the cap, and if they push into you and get within your hydro range, it's legit just a free kill. It's just a free kill 100%. And after you get the cap, you can back out, or if the enemy team is shooting at your allies and they're just being spotted that way, you could just sit in that smoke and just farm away while you are just getting that free damage. And one of the best ways to farm damage in this game, or just farm credits overall, or just farming in general, is how you do it is if there is multiple targets that are in front of you, what you want to do is you're going to want to set a fire on one target, right? You set a target up fire on one. and then you switch to another target and you try to set a fire on that one. If your original target DCPs, you then go back to that target and get a permafire on it, or two. So if it's a battleship that doesn't have superintendent, get the 2 fires in the middle and then rotate to another target. Or if it's a cruiser, try to get 2 fires on the middle and then rotate to a different target. And you keep repeating that process over and over again, because that means that you're getting that passive damage just from that fires. And it's really nice to be able to earn just passive damage, passive XP from just doing that. It's really, really nice. So normally early game, you're doing spotting, trying to provide information for your team, trying to get some caps, spot the torpedoes for your allies. And then once you clear the area, then you can push up, be ahead of your team, and kind of just look out for torpedoes or watch out for destroyers and all that. Now, if you are dealing with an aircraft carrier, which of course you're going to, probably what you want to do is you want to wait to activate your DFAA and the sectoring until you're about to be spotted. But if you know the aircraft carrier is going to be going right by you anyway, you could pop the DFA and sectoring early when he is within your, when he's inside your flak range. The flak range should be around 6 kilometers to about 3.5 kilometers. So try to get in that sweet spot where the flak is, because you can do massive damage with that flak and destroy whole squadrons of aircraft if you catch them in that flak squad when you first activate the DFAA and the sector. It just immediate damage, and the flak will just pop up right in their face, and they don't really have time to dodge, and they're gonna take, and you're just gonna wipe out the whole squad, because you do get base XP from plane kills. For plane damage, I'm not so sure about. I think you do as well, but if someone in the comments could let me know, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, for spotting damage is almost worth 1-to-1 to actual damage, like XP earning wise. So if you see that you're not doing a lot of damage and you're getting a lot of spotting damage, don't feel bad. You're still gonna earn a lot of credits or earnings from just spotting, but you're not gonna earn as much as the actual damage, but you do earn a lot of base XP from just spotting damage. So don't be like, oh, well, I'm doing all this spotting, but I'm not gonna earn anything. No, you will. It's just not going to be as much as damage, but you will earn XP from spotting. So I just want to make sure you guys were aware of that. So we talked about what makes this ship great. We talked about the guns. We talked about its hydro and its smoke. We talked about the price of the ship and how I think the ship is still great to get in 2025. Overall, the Groningen is one of my favorite ships in the game to grind credits. It's really easy to play, really simple play style. If you just want to do farming, you can do farming. If you want to do more of a destroyer build, you can do more of a destroyer build. I'll be showing the build that I run near the end of the video, and I'll have a stamp for it so you guys can take a look at that, but we're going to be going to that shortly. We talked about the maneuverability. We talked about the concealment. We talked about the ship's amazing anti-air. This ship does have forward-facing depth charges, by the way. So if you are running down a submarine, you can launch the depth charges in front of you, so that it is easier for you to actually hit the sub. Now, if the sub is running at you, it is a little bit more difficult to hit them, but if a submarine is running away from you, which a lot of the time they are, it's going to be easier for you to hit them with your depth charges, which is a pretty nice feature for this ship. It's pretty fun to use for sure, because it has the forward-facing hedgehogs, is I think what they're called. They're called hedgehogs. Someone in the comments can let me know if they're called something else, but I think they're called hedgehogs. But anyway, yeah, overall, my review of the Groningen, fantastic. I love this ship. I definitely think it's worth getting in 2025. Really good overall. Great ship. Definitely worth the coal and worth the doubloons, either or. So you can get the ship for free with coal, or you can spend money on doubloons. Whatever suits your fancy. But anyway, at this point in the video, I'm gonna, show you guys the build so you guys can take a reference on how to build this ship. All right, so let's take a look at the build of the Groningen that I have. So for the skills, I would take preventative maintenance first, then go with last stand. After that, I would then take superintendent, so you get that extra smoke. It's very important to have as many smokes as possible on this ship, because again, a lot of the time you're going to be farming, so the more smokes you have, the more XP you have to farm. Next is going to be concealment, and that's going to be your 10-point build. Now, this is where the build's been kind of deviating. If you're doing more of a jack of all trade kind of Groningen, where you're more likely to, like, when you want to hunt more DDs, then you'd have RPF or radiolocation, right? Now, if you want to do more of like a pure farming, where you're farming more like battleships or cruisers at longer distance, then you're going to take AFT instead, or the main battery in AA Expert, which increases your battery range by 20% and makes it where your damage from flak goes higher to enemy aircraft. So if you want to do farming, AFT. If you want to do more DD hunting, then radiolocation. After that, you would then take survivability expert or adrenaline rush, depending upon which one you fancy first. I personally would take adrenaline rush first, so that if you do lose health, you do get higher DPM. And then finally, after those, you would then take consumable specialist, so that you can get your smokes back quicker. So that is the skills of the Groningen that I take. Now for the modules, it's going to be pretty much the same no matter what build you do. It's going to be main armament, then the hydroacoustics for a longer hydro. This makes it when you're in that smoke during the farming, you're going to be able to have around the exact same amount of time that the smokes will be lasting. So while you're in the smoke, you don't have to worry about eating as many torps. For the third slot, it's going to be aiming systems. You know, make your guns more accurate. For the fourth slot, it's going to be propulsion. You can take steering if you want, but overall, the ship does have a very slow acceleration, so having propulsion is going to be very important on this ship. Fifth slot, of course, is going to be concealment, so that you get 6.4 concealment, which is very important. And then, of course, you're going to have a main battery modification, so the gun reload. So you get that reload down to the 1.6 seconds. So that is going to be it. If you guys have any questions or concerns, let me know in the comments down below. Well, this is OverlordBou. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.